waiting on Gary. I have a question for you. Magicians are actors and magic is theatrical.
That's right.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, it's a famous saying that Houdini said that the role of a magician is an actor. So you're not performing, obviously, real magic. It's theatrical magic. It's magic of the mind, psychology, and practical effects to create illusions. So to be an effective magician, you have to play the role of a conductor of miracles, of some sort. So you'll look at the pattern of the best magicians in the world, and they're all playing characters. And the better they are at what they do in their craft, the better of a character that they have constructed over the years. So that's what it means to me. That's my.
I think that's a fantastic way to look at it, and I'm glad that you had such a great way to explain it. For those of you joining us, this is Dallas Fueston. He is an illusionist, magician, illusion constructor for other magicians, a whole bunch of different things. You want to explain to us what it is that you work on? And Gary, are you still there?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Houston, we have a problem.
We can hear you, man.
Also, Fueston,
I should.
Problem.
How you doing? Before we get started with the interview, Gary, how you doing? Tell us where you're at.
I'm in Hawaii. Can you guys hear me? All right.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Power went out here. I'm not sure what happened. I got this sweet thing called a Shard Geek out under the table somewhere, but it's like the world's most powerful battery, and it'll power anything for a few hours. So got a couple hours. And I'm happy that I got this to work. Dallas is one of my oldest friends. I think we go back more than 20, I don't even know how many years now. What, 99? 98? Yep. It's a super long time. And I'm super honored to have you on the show. And I'm glad that I managed to make the connection here. And hopefully this Wi-Fi holds up.
I think it will. And I want to echo that. I appreciate you coming on. I've been excited about this because he's told me a lot about you over the last couple of years. Just like the kind of work that you do and how incredible it is. And it shared a lot of the videos. And the fact that you are someone that combines a different type of art with magic at the same time, it's super fascinating, because when I saw that you were doing cosplay and mixing it in with the magic, it made the miracle that much cooler. Where did you come up with that idea?
Yeah, so, well, thank you, first of all, for that intro, and thank you, Gary, for inviting me to the podcast here with Jay. I've been seeing some clips of what you guys do, so I think it's great. You guys have different, unique people to come on and share their experiences, how they overcome their challenges. And so I'm honored to be here. So yeah, the cosplay magic actually came about because I was at a point where I had looked at myself as a failure as a magician. I had a huge, I had a business magic project go very badly. And then I also got caught up in the 2008 financial crisis, had to go bankrupt, lose my home, all that stuff. So it was a time of a challenge, and I was hitting walls with my magic career. I was doing magic corporate events for years, but I wasn't reaching different opportunities that I wanted to get to. And it was almost like a love-hate relationship with magic. But then going into entertainment business ventures, also, I was happy doing those things. And I've always been on one side doing the business side of entertainment, and then the other side, the entertainment part. And I'd take a little break, a hiatus from magic. And then through a bunch of different events of hitting walls in the business stuff and somehow just getting pulled back into magic, I had to cover for one of my friend's gigs, and just all of a sudden started to get the bug again to perform. And then I was thinking that I needed something to create that was just for myself. A magic project that was just for my own purpose, not for what I think others will like or what others would enjoy. But I needed to almost prove to myself that I had it in me to create a unique presentation in magic. Because when you look at all the different types of magic, there's only so many different types of effects. There's vanish, appearance, mentalism, levitation, and the list goes on. It's about 11 or 12, so many different areas of magic. So magic is basically the art of presentation. A lot of the magic you see is all the same magic tricks remixed into other tricks and changed. So being a magician, you're challenged with presenting it, wrapping the gift in a unique way to make that presentation. So I ended up being the Joker for Halloween, and people were just like, "Whoa, you're a good Joker. You'd be a great Joker."
Dope makeup, I have to tell you. That video is like, holy shit, that's good.
Thank you. So I was taking an acting class a couple years before that, and my professor in the class, or the acting teacher, was like, Dallas, you should consider playing a villain with your magic character. Like, and I was such an opposite role for me, because that's just not my appearance. That's just not who I am. I'm just more chill. And then when I thought of the idea years later of doing magic as the Joker, and then thinking about the villain character, it just settled in. And then I just started sharing these ideas with some of my friends, and then kind of got a group of people together that were creatives to help me put the presentation together and to create the vision. So yeah, and then it snowballed from there. It went from me being the Joker and doing magic to incorporating the whole Suicide Squad movie and the characters. And that all happened with collaboration of different people that I brought in. And just, so yeah, it was just like, hey, and to be honest, I didn't expect it to blow up as much as it did and get traction. I just literally did it for myself. I was like, I need to prove to myself that I can be creative again.
And that's why it blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I believe that when we're authentic and we're our most passionate and we're not doing it for other people, those are the things that people flock to the most and enjoy. You can smell originality, authenticity, and happiness in something, and that shows through in that kind of art. You can tell when someone believes the character they're playing in the moment and they love doing it in the moment. It makes it a lot different. And you brought up something really cool earlier when you mentioned that magicians over time, the greats, have been able to develop a character and they're able to function with that as if it's reality at any given time. And I would like to add on to that I believe that the majority of the people that are successful in these roles are not only a character, but more so being themselves. Because we're so odd and unique as people, it's so rare that we get to see someone acting in such a manner that we assume it's a character, which it is. But to a certain degree, I feel like those people are the ones that are giving us the clearest view of what that art is, because they're being themselves and we're attracted to it. And I think that's probably one of the things that it looks like you were able to reach down into what was a darker time and find the art that made you feel happy about what you were doing again, and was able to create that. Sorry, I just like to point out these things as I go along, and it just seemed pretty fitting.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point, Jay. In fact, when you study psychology, and as a magician, we're essentially psychologists in a sense, because we're always looking at belief systems and how people think and how to, work around people's perceptions to create illusions. But in life, we're all playing roles. Either we're a husband, a
Mhm.
father, a son, a daughter, a teacher, whatever. We put on these masks and go play a role,
I love it. You
essentially.
know, the logo is masks. That's exactly what you're describing is why we have the show.
Yeah,
This is amazing. Please
yeah.
go on.
And as your logo has the duality of the dark and the light, the yin and the yang. So like, yeah, in that role and that particular project, I had to call upon my shadow side, I guess, to play that role, right? The villain almost of facing my failures head on
Eh,
and facing, almost what I felt was I guess at the time damaged or challenged at my failures, but then facing them and kind of overcoming them and proving to myself that I could create something unique again. And then, yeah, it became a cool expression, artistic expression, or just a cool project, however you want to frame it. But it was
mhm,
fun, and it led to many other opportunities of creation, and yeah, it's the journey of magic has been really a journey of life for me because every time that magic, either I've pushed it out of my life or I've hit walls of challenge, then something will come back to me and pull me back into the magic world. It's happened time and time again. It's like I can't escape it. It
amazing how
just
that
keeps
works,
pulling
right?
me back in. Yeah, and I think that has to do with when people are doing something that's ingrained into their patterns. It's almost like ritualistic in a sense, where you're kind of cycling this energy as you're building these skills and practicing these crafts or skill sets.
Mhm, mhm.
I think that maybe with the way that maybe the world works, it pulls you back in to those present
So
moments to
through the
focus back on
DNA,
those.
you're
Yeah,
like
it
Yeah.
is in
born
our
that
DNA.
way. Like people are born a fighter or like an entertainer or whatever they are. People are, I think, are like born in some way and like they'll find their way to that thing. And once they find it, it just becomes part of, and it's like, I don't know any magicians, I've worked with Chris Angel and I've worked with others, I've worked with Penn and I've worked with these guys like, but I don't know them, and, I think like you get a different perception of like what an actor or a movie star, like these things that you don't really ever get to meet people that are this certain thing. Like you might have an idea of like what an actor's like, what an NBA player's like, what, these different roles you just see as entertainers, singers, rap, like whatever, it's like becomes like a thing and like put all those people into a box. Like actors act this way or NBA players, or NFL players act a certain way, and it's like to break outside of that mold of that one like general categories, I think is tough. And I think like people think of like magicians, like either get like a negative connotation, like, oh, that's like dorky, or it's crazy, a crazy person that's like in Copperfield, like bigger than life, And I think that like
Mhm.
when you could be like a normal guy, like Dallas is like he's a normal, like the guy he's just cool as they come. Like he'll talk to anybody, he'll be friends with everybody. Like I've never seen any negativity out of him in my life, But then when he turns it on, he's like a different person, Like when he was a Joker, I didn't know Dallas in that role. He didn't like feel like him at all. It was a different person. Like he
I love that.
becomes the magician, the performer. He's a different dude. Like he changes. Like he plays that character, but it's like I don't know. Like even when he's just himself, he doesn't have makeup and costume on. He's not the same guy. Even if he breaks out a deck of cards right now and does some shit that I'll be like, how the fuck do you do that? And why won't you tell me? It's been 22 years. Fuck, don't. Like, like, like,
I love that.
yeah, he becomes just a different guy. It's like I like to feel like when I get the microphone and like start rapping or like performing, like I become like it's part of me. It's Don Ruckus is like the wild teenager side of me still that like thinks he's a gangster, but like it comes out from like a part of my like DNA. It's like he turns it
Mhm.
on. It's like a different. It's him, but it's like it's a different piece. And I think that's ingrained in you. That's why it drags you back, because it's going to be part of you. You be 95 years old in the nursing home, and you're like, hey, come here.
Pulling it to pins out of a hat?
Yeah.
Don't do that, man. You can't be that guy, like cheating some guy out of his pudding cup with a
No,
card trick.
can't do that.
It's just like, that's you.
That's funny.
Like,
I don't see Dallas doing that.
It'll be something awesome though that you just won't
That's
expect. How do you do that? Like, why is that floating? Like, what the fuck? From there,
Just
like,
fucking with the staff.
yeah.
I would. You know,
all the time.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's just you're stuck with it, and like, Nick Diaz had like a famous thing about fighting. He's like, you have to love it so much you fucking hate it. And like, it's one of those things, like a labor of love. Like, you're being judged on your art all the time. Something you might just kill yourself over. People just might not like it. And there's something that you might think is going to suck, and then everybody loves it. And sometimes you're always guessing. But the moment you stop guessing and just did what you wanted to do, like, things change. I make shirts, one I have, it says chase dreams, not bags. When I started doing that more, I started making more money. I wasn't chasing money. Like, I found things I loved and I was good at, and I was passionate about them. And then I just went hard in that direction, and good things started to happen. If I was like, how can you make money? Like, even the podcast, like, you could look up lists of like the most successful podcasts, what category, and that's always going to change. I want to do a podcast about this. Like, everyone tries to do that, rarely successful. Oh shit, it changed. Or I want to do YouTube videos about unboxing, or I want to do YouTube videos about this. And then everyone tries to do it. Rarely does it work. But if you love something and you start doing a show about it, writing about it, performing about it, like, you might not be successful, but you have a way better shot, I believe. Like, and you're going to enjoy it at least along the way, even if it doesn't have like financial success.
Yeah. If you've got something powerful to say, podcasting is just a megaphone. That's it. It's the background. It's the shit that just gets you to where you're going. So it's not anything that you need to worry about except for just how to fucking make it run smooth. If you don't love what it is that you're talking about, you're screwed. You can be popular. You can have a stack of fucking coins like Scrooge McDuck, but you're not going to be fucking happy. You're not going to love it at all. You're just going to look at it and be pissed that you got to fucking walk around it all the way to the bathroom. That's it. Because it means absolutely nothing. I'm really fascinated with with this Joker and the evolution of your career, because you use certain terminology like shadow self and things like that, and these are real terms. These are Carl Jung and some other people talk about these, and there's some other actors out there, like when Jim Carrey played, I think what was like Andy Kaufman or something like that. You get into these situations where you're facing your own psyche, and your ability to love your shadow self and embrace it is when really you start to become a stronger force in your creativity and your livelihood. And I'm curious, when you're in there and you are facing yourself, did you find at that point that this was when you got to be authentic with what you were pursuing?
I think at the time, there was
not inauthentic before. I apologize.
Yeah,
it came out
no,
weird, but I mean, like, now with this newfound art.
Yeah. So let's be completely real about it. There's been a journey about my magic career that was about chasing my ego, and being like wanting to see my name in lights and billboards and be on the strip and this, have a whole headliner show and, doing it for feeding my ego's purpose. That was probably majority of my younger part of my career, leading, as I was a child learning to be a magician. And then even when I met Gary, and years after, when I had those challenges that I was speaking about before, my intentions were good, but they weren't always set 100% in, I would call my authentic self, more of an intentional space of the why of what I do, right? We always have to question ourselves of, people get caught up in the what, but the why is is really the intention part and why we set off into the direction to do what we're doing in our journey, in our being, in our human being. Like, what are we doing? Like, and why? Why are we doing it? So, the Joker project, that video was a builder for me, an internal builder to prove to myself that I could believe in myself again, in a creative way, and then take more risks, and then also face failure straight on, because the project that I did before that, years before that failed, was very similar to cosplay magic. It was probably the birth of what the Joker was. And it's stuff that's buried now. Not a lot of people have seen it, but I created a magic project that was a live fantasy universe that had a best-selling author fantasy book. It's basically if you took like David Blaine and Harry Potter and put them together. So there was these fantasy characters. I played the character of a wizard, and there was all these creatures. And we actually had the characters in real life, and then we had a book about them, and then there was magic performances that would be embedded with the performances. But anyways, it didn't catch off. It didn't take off. I think it was kind of ahead of its time creatively. I was super young and naive, not intentionally in the right direction, made poor business decisions with friends, and didn't have things structured properly with it when we were challenged with things that are gridlock. We didn't know which way to go, and life had changed a lot of our circumstances from where it started. And, so basically the Joker was kind of an essence of that. It was instead of it being a wizard character, it was the famous villain character that people could already be familiar with. So, but this one was more intentioned, and I was more in a present moment doing it, for a better intention and purpose. It wasn't to be known or to be famous or anything. It was just for myself. Just it's kind of a selfish,
the love of the game.
Yeah, it was a selfish decision, but in a positive way, I would say. Sometimes we have to make selfish decisions that are positive for our own growth. And that's what that was, I think.
And that's what this moment is, though, is it is an example for the people out there that are hearing you describe this, because I'm sure you could confirm that having gone through the first trial and the first production that you put together and how it unfolded, that it only made the second production so much better because you had already seen so many different pitfalls that existed in advance. I mean, we're supposed to create shitty stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how are you supposed to get good stuff if you don't create shitty stuff first?
Oh, 100%.
I don't want to know the guy that pulls out a 100 every time he fucking tries to do something. Like, that dude's just a pain in my ass.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to hang out with that dude. I want the guy that draws, like, when I draw a stick figure, it's a stick figure. That's as far as the illustration goes. I need that guy first before somebody's putting out Picasso.
Yeah,
sometimes
100%.
You draw the Picasso, but like, you don't know how to get that Picasso on the wall in a museum. You might have something that's dope, but you don't have that other piece. You might create something. You might be able to make the best fucking sandwich in America, but if you can't get your restaurant open, then no one's ever gonna eat that sandwich. That's the tough part when art and business mesh. And it's a skill set. Like, you might be the best fucking artist, and it has performance been honed, forever, and then those things. But it's like, now I gotta sell this thing to people somehow, which takes financial investment. Those people have to stay in everything, and it takes it sucks. Like, it's you could have the best product or the best performance, but the best of anything. But then now you have to give that out to people, which takes investors, people that have put their 2 cents literally and figuratively into your projects, and then that becomes the problem, and then corporate greed or just ego or whatever get involved, and then it's a rough deal. And, I think one of the things that, me and Dallas were fraternity brothers, our fraternity brothers from college. We're in a fraternity called Delta Chi, which at the time I was
What did you say it was?
Delta Chi.
I thought you said felt a guy. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, man. This is a
I
joke.
think I punched
You can't be felt a guy.
Yeah, I think I punched the kid in college making that joke. But we're the anti-fraternity. And like, I never wanted to join. I'm a gang member from Cleveland. I was not joining a fraternity, and
No.
I was like, I'm never going to do it. This is stupid. But little by little, like all the friends and people I cared about the most, or a majority of them in college, either joined or, were like, I'm never joining. So we were the Delta class, and we were all the kids that were never going to join. We went to parties, like kicked it, but we're like, we're not joining. And finally, like, we decided, or they just like, however it was, like, we all came to the conclusion in our own way. One of our brothers, Cesar Hernandez, is super high up at this casino or hotel that I'm staying at right now in Mexico. But we were like, we have like actors and magicians and singers, and we're like, it's such a creative group of people that like somehow came together, in this one class, this fraternity. And the fraternity was started, it's a national fraternity, but it started at UNLV as a multicultural, anybody could join. They had black fraternities, white fraternities, Jewish fraternities, and there were no mixed up fraternities at all. And the year before I got to college, they started this thing. And, everyone's like, I'm paying for your friends, or what are you going to do? Hey, you're going to, make them chug a fucking gallon of milk and shove peanut butter up their ass and leave them out in the fucking desert and all this hazing. I'm like, hey,
Jesus.
yeah, I'm like, try to haze me, motherfucker. And they're like, we don't do that. And they're like,
I was in the army and they weren't even sticking peanut butter and shit. I was like, it would fuck with you pretty hard, but that sounded pretty rotten, dude.
Like, we had no hazing. It's a steadfast rule. Like, we're not doing that shit. And like, we're not doing any of the negative shit about a fraternity. And I heard it for years, and I'm like, whatever, I'm not a frat bro, dude. And like, man, looking back, it was one of the best things that I've ever done, bar none. I mean, I got brothers all over the place. We've stuck together. We might not talk to each other for 3, 5, 8 years, and boom, fucking, we're back at it, and so creative. And like, all the things that people have done, business, whatever, like people just, I guess we fed off the creativity, but like we're all able to like be ourselves and not lose our individuality, like amongst this bigger thing. Like, and it was
That's cool.
Like, every race from every part of the world, from Sweden to every part of America to every socioeconomical background. Like, it didn't matter if you're from Compton or fucking Beverly Hills or New York or like, it didn't matter. We never cared about that shit. Like, what your parents did or how much money you had, what kind of car. Dude had a brand new Beamer next to a fucking bucket in the parking lot. Didn't give a shit. I never heard anybody care about that stuff. And, it's 20 years later, and it's just, it was not paying for friends. It was whatever. So I'm very proud of. Like, I might fucking teared up talking about that shit, but it's one of the best things I ever did was join this fucking frat at college, Like,
Yeah.
I didn't graduate from college. Like, I didn't do good in college at all, but I met the most amazing people that I've worked with, or even though, that it got me into the business. I mean, all of this stuff came from, taking a leap and going, and then hating this frat thing so bad, and then, just do it for the chicks, bro. Like, whatever, but like,
said every dude over 15.
Yeah, and it was never about that, because we were already getting chicks. The other fraternities paid us to throw their parties. They like, we already had that. We're honestly the coolest people because we were just ourselves, and we're just a ragtag bunch of whatever. At 1.1, all the sports, and all the government, did all the entertainment. Like, everyone hated it, but they had to like roll with it because like we're just managed to have. We weren't one thing. Everyone else was just one group of people that all acted the same. All this frat, like they were frat.
Yeah, Buffy, Muffy, and Tad or whatever.
Yeah, and they just acted the same. They looked the same, but we were like, we got the best DJ in college. We got the president of the whole college. We got a magician. We got a rapper. We got a guy, 30 future lawyers that we didn't even know about, but they're handling whatever business they're handling. We ran the radio station, ran the fucking newspaper. I mean, you name it. At one point, our group of people, and we were the misfits, but we were running shit the whole time. They were calling us the misfits, like every aspect of the whole school in a way.
Yeah.
We did it well. We didn't stick it to people, or we wanted inclusive shit and make it like just cool. You know?
Yeah, we were really ahead of its time when it comes to like being the Martin Luther King's dream. Like we had every race, like Gary told you, together, all happy, smiling, giving each other high fives, hugs. Like we were a solid group of guys, and on campus, people could feel our energy and see it. They were attracted to that positive energy, and just like it was like we were magnets. And it was a wonderful experience. Just like Gary said, it was definitely a character building experience, and we still have contacts from that experience. And then, you know what, as time goes on, we still have contacts that were in other fraternities that you ended up being friends with later on. Like back then it was more rivalry, but then as you mature and you into adulthood, you start realizing that those other secondary associates of other fraternities, other classmates, those people became good contacts and networks in business and in careers as well too. So it was a character building time, and I wouldn't replace it for anything. I think that was the best part of college. I mean, I don't remember anything that I learned in college.
Nothing.
Describing the military in quite a lot of ways, because I was in the military.
It's a
and the way that you're
brotherhood.
describing this, it's a brotherhood.
It's a brotherhood.
I love the fact that you guys are still all together, and I kind of want to ask, what does having relationships with creators of all kinds mean to you?
Yeah, it's the foundation of my life outside of my family and my wife and stuff. Yeah, I would say that somehow I've been connected, and just I'm very grateful and blessed for this, is that I have a lot of interesting creative people in my life that just Gary is one of them. And it's not just in the TV business, but people that are other specialty acts, people that are designers, other magic creators, musicians. I'm somewhat of a connector in that regard. I think I help balance other creators out, in the sense of they look at me and say, wow, you're doing something pretty bizarre and different, but then I can help maybe allow them to see perspectives that they don't see maybe on the business side, or just how to navigate creativity and the business of creativity. Because as you guys said, it's very challenging. It's very difficult. You know, it doesn't always make sense. Like Gary said, putting art inside of business economic models, sometimes it doesn't make sense. So you have to learn how to navigate that. And I feel like maybe I'm a voice for my creative magic friends to lean on, or to run ideas by, or to brainstorm, or to help solve problems, or just to listen to them in their challenges, or, you know, because it's challenging as an entertainer, you know, as a creative yourself, right? It's, and with respect to anything else in life that comes with building skills. But as a creator, I can speak to the fact that you have to love the bad parts about, like, the struggle. You have to love the shitty parts about it, right? You have to love the struggle to be able to get through to the good times too. And then trying to find ways to fit this art or fit this creation piece into your career, or into an economic model, is sometimes next to impossible. But then sometimes you realize that you're not always doing it for the money, and the money is just a part of it, you know, and you're doing it. For me, my mantra became, everyone has different mantras or different, you know, whys or reasons, but mine is to create, to inspire. And how I arrived upon that was when I realized that I was going to be a magician. The funny story was, as I was in Las Vegas with my family. I was 12 years old and I hated Las Vegas so bad. I was stuck in the
Not a
arcade.
12-year-old's dream.
No, and at the time, you couldn't really be close to the casino. It was really strict. Even though they were trying to make it more family friendly at the time. But I was in the arcade room and it's tiny. At the Mirage, it was not very big at all. And I had beat the games and I was just like, okay, I want to go. Like, this is silly. Like, I can't do anything. I can't go with my family anywhere. I can only go to the restaurants. Every time I'm on the casino floor, I feel like I have to like only be on the pathway. Like,
Because you're
so
going to get in trouble.
yeah.
That's
So then the story goes is, our flight was canceled, so we had to stay another night. So I was like, oh man, I'm going to be here another night. I don't want to be in this place. It's just silly.
It smells like cigarettes and shame.
Yeah.
I want to
So
go home.
hated Las Vegas. I hated it. So then my family thought it was a good idea. Like, hey, let's get them tickets. Let's go to the show Lance Burton, Master Magician at the Hacienda. This is before he was in the Monte Carlo.
and the
And the
hacienda
hacienda,
exists still.
classic old casino. You walk in, it feels like you're in old Vegas. And I was like, okay, let's go to the show, whatever. I go to the show, and if those that don't know about Lance Burton, he is like the character role that he played was the classic magician from, that wears the tuxedo with the tails.
I love that
He
one.
has the doves. It's very classic, and he opens up his show with at the time when he was doing it, with this world famous world championship act that he created. It's like a bird act. It's like a dove act, but it's with card manipulation and candles appearing, and it's just so classic. It's almost like you're seeing Dracula or someone perform, and he's very
Oh,
mysterious.
that's cool.
And it just captivated me. And I just knew at that moment that I don't know what it was. I just knew instantly. I was like, I am going to perform magic. I had liked magic before, but I was like, I'm going to perform magic. It wasn't even a question. So from that point on, so to get back to my mantra, is that years later, I realized that Lance Burton, not knowing that he gave me the gift of inspiration to believe in whatever I wanted to do. And in this, not that. So that's kind of what I realized, is that that part of my creative purpose is to create presentations, not just with magic, but other entertainment projects that I'm involved with as well. Create to inspire. So to inspire someone, not all to become magicians, but to believe in themselves, to be creative. It doesn't have to be with business. It can be with anything, but just be creative, because the creative self is the essence that we were born with as children. And as you know, when you research that, as we get older and older and you get into society and you go through school, your creativity gets stripped away from you by having to fit into society's mold of what they want you to be, or what society wants you to be, or, oh, you have to get this kind of career job so that you can do this and blah, blah, blah. So, but my mantra, my service to people is to inspire them to believe in creativity, believe in what that natural thing that we were given at birth, I believe, is to be creative, is to use your mind and your emotion and your energy to make something and share it and give it out.
Bring imagination back to life.
Yes.
Imagination is stifled at such an early age. We like to think that we have it, but if you're creating something for anybody other than yourself or somebody else's vision, you're not being imaginative. You're being creative with a construct or a box around you. You're not living to your full potential. When you have the ability to create something unhampered or unhindered, then you're going to pick something that is 10 times better. It's going to resonate with more people. It's the actors or musicians or entertainers that don't give two shits about money, like we've said, and are the ones that are being the absolute most original. Your Amy Winehouse, your Kurt Cobain or something like that, where people are just watching them fall into the ground, but they were doing it for the love of it, and that's it. And that's why we fall in love with those people. I appreciate that you have a mantra that you want to inspire others. because I myself am a late in life creator. I didn't start creating until my 40s. I mean, I did jobs. I worked in so many different roles and I've made things, but they've always been for other people, other personalities, because like you said earlier, having an ego is not necessarily what people think it is. It's not shoulders up and macho. For some reason, that became like the description of what an ego is. Ego is really just the different mask on the shelf of an actor, you know, and you pick it up and you put it on. If you commit the shit out of it, then you'll believe that you're that person and you'll do anything to feed that mask, to give that mask the accolades it needs in order to not feel judged, or the person under it to feel judged for whatever they're doing. Right. And when you step out there and you inspire people, you're giving us a chance to believe in ourselves and our capabilities. And I do like that you guys, both of you, highlight that business and art is a very difficult line to walk. I don't know shit about this industry, even from my own perspective. I'm greenhorn, you know, I've never really done a whole lot of this, but one thing that I've tried to stick to, because I've done all of the other roles where you check blocks and you do these things, but the one thing that I've done with this, and I keep open, is that if you build it, they will come. Just do the right thing every single day. Get up, make art, put it out. Get up, make art, put it out. That's all I do, in the hopes that it resonates. If it resonates with one person, it's fucking great. If it resonates with a ton, even better. But I think that that's where that happiness is really at. When you start acting like yourself. Gary, are you alive?
I'm alive.